This man will not get away with what he's doing, believe me. And if he utters one threat in the form of an overt threat, or if he does anything with respect to Guam or any place else that's an American territory or an American ally, he will truly regret it, and he will regret it fast.
I want to show you what the people of Guam woke up to this morning. And remember, 168,000 residents of Guam, U.S. citizens all, they're living under the threat of North Korean missiles arriving off their shores in some sort of show of force. This is their local paper, the Guam Pacific Daily News. They ran a front-page article today. It's listed on their website tonight, article called Missile Threat Tips. Just some solid how-to advice for civil defense in the event of a missile launch. Here are the guidelines. Don't look at the flash or fireball, as blindness may result. Take cover behind a concrete structure if possible. Lay flat on the ground and cover your head. While flight time for a missile from North Korea is 14 minutes, they warn it can take more than 30 seconds for the blast wave to actually hit. After impact. After the blast, they recommend showering well, using plenty of soap and shampoo. We are not making light of this threat, nor is anyone on Guam, far from it. In fact, we are joined tonight by two guests to talk about it. Democratic Congressman Ted Lieu of California is with us tonight. Born in Taiwan, he went to Stanford and Georgetown, but more importantly, he's a colonel in the Air Force Reserves who was stationed in Guam. We have a second colonel with us as well, U.S. Army retired Jack Jacobs, a recipient of the Medal of Honor for his combat actions in Vietnam. He's our military affairs analyst. Congressman, based on your knowledge of Guam and where it sits and 14 minutes of flying time between a launch order in North Korea and splashdown in that region, how vulnerable do you think they're feeling right about now?
Thank you, Brian, for your question. Very vulnerable. Having served on active duty in Guam, I can tell you the U.S. has exactly zero good military options against North Korea. Any military scenario can quickly spiral out of control, leading to a large loss of life, not just in Guam, but also in South Korea. That's what makes the president's statements so reckless. He needs to stop backing the U.S. into a corner where we have no good military options, and he needs to try diplomacy.
Jack, this is what you've been saying. There are no good options. We keep hearing this phrase, you know, a protective strike, an advanced strike by the U.S. Remind folks how much firepower is focused just on South Korea.
Well, there is an almost unlimited number of artillery tubes and rockets that are very, very close to the demilitarized zone and all of Seoul, with between 25 and 30 million Koreans. They're all in range. Our forces are actually considerably south of that, but all that notwithstanding, they're all at risk. And by the way, the war isn't over. We've just had, there's no armistice, there's just a ceasefire. The war that started in 1950 is actually legally, literally still going on.
I want to run some of the sound. The president did call the governor of Guam. You're going to see the governor taking the call on his iPhone on speakerphone. The voice you'll hear is the president's.
Governor, I just want to let you know, we're with you 1,000%. You have nothing. You notice that he hasn't spoken recently. He doesn't talk so much anymore. And we'll see how it all works out, but you're not going to have a problem.
Yeah. Sir, isn't it?
They don't, you don't, this is between you and I, but you don't talk like they talk.
Yeah.
You can't do that. And you can't do that with people like us.
Yeah. Sir,
so, I just wanted to pay my respects and say you seem like a hell of a guy.
There's no word on whether or not the president knew this was going to be televised and put up on the web tonight during that conversation, during which the president also assured the governor tourism was going to increase tenfold when this was all over. Congressman, you're also on foreign affairs, and so I want to ask you, what must our allies, especially in the Pacific Rim, be thinking?
The problem with the Trump administration is not only do they have a lack of a strategy in many areas, including North Korea, but they send out conflicting statements. So earlier you had Rex Tillerson basically saying the time for talking might be close with North Korea. And then the president starts doing this tirade of very provocative statements. So it's very confusing to world leaders. And what I want the Trump administration to do is get on one page so that we know what the administration believes. And the president has said that he thinks it's good to be unpredictable. In foreign affairs, that's really stupid. You don't want to be unpredictable. You want to be clear. You don't want to have miscalculations.
Jack, you have said we will know if this is serious if we start seeing the evacuation of 250,000 Americans.
Yeah, we have about 100,000 military dependents. 7th Fleet is there, at least partially, so that they can evacuate American dependents. Nothing is going to happen, or we don't know if anything's going to happen until we hear the canary in the mine, and that is the evacuation of military dependents. When that happens, you can have a high degree of confidence that we have a high degree of confidence that there's going to be action there.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me, or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.